You never say never in politics. Things change, administrations change, so things can definitely move in either direction. But NATO would be the best solution, of course.
Very well in mood. Was it very well in substance? That's the thing we're debating. Also, Melania Trump is a key figure in all of this, not worth underplaying, actually. She often, when Trump talks about his changing view on Ukraine, he mentions what Melania says to him at night. So maybe she is a significant player in it. Let's get a reaction from Ukraine this morning. Ina Sobson is an MP from the Liberal opposition party Holos. Ina, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Do you feel optimistic this morning or more depressed? How do you respond to what took place yesterday?
Well, I don't think I can put it one way or another. Do we want the peace to come? Yes, of course. Do we trust what Putin is saying and the promises that we're hearing? Well, not so far. So I think we're just closely following what is going on. The very fact that negotiations are taking place is a positive one, but will it offer an acceptable solution to Ukraine? That's yet to be decided. The biggest issue, of course, is that of the security guarantees. Yeah. The issue has been raised many times during the day yesterday. However, again, as of yet, we're not hearing any specific details. And you have to understand that Ukrainians are very cautious about the whole idea of security guarantees, because Ukraine does have experience of giving up its nuclear weapons arsenal, all of it, in the early 90s, in exchange for security guarantees, which never really materialized. So everybody in Ukraine remembers that, and that is a very, very sensitive moment for Ukraine. That is why we don't really trust security guarantees that are just written on paper. We need something more real, more tangible to actually believe that those security guarantees will not fail us like it did the previous time.
And that would be membership of NATO, really, wouldn't it? But do you have to accept that Ukraine will never be allowed to join NATO now?
Well, you never say never in politics. Things change, administrations change, so things can definitely move in either direction. But NATO would be the best solution, of course. However, we are very realistic that even if there was a willingness to take Ukraine into NATO, that's a process that's going to take a bit longer. There can be other legal options that can be offered. But again, they cannot be simply legal. They have to be something more tangible. Peacekeeping boots on the ground in Ukraine is probably something that Ukraine will give Ukrainians more trust in the process than anything that is written in any papers. So I think that is something that needs to be discussed so that we understand that we don't stop the fighting just to be reattacked again in a month, in a two from that moment, and end up in a situation where we were in January 2022.
Have you come to terms with the fact that Ukraine is going to lose land to a certain extent?
Well, we have lost about 19% of our land since 2014. Russia's progress has been very much slowed down. They have been trying to take over Donetsk region for 11 years now. 11 years, and they still control 2/3 of that. We see no reason why Ukraine should voluntarily give up the rest of the Donetsk region just because Putin wants to do so. He has no claim for that, for those territories. That would be wrong. So I don't think that is something that is seriously being discussed by Ukrainian leadership.
So there's a distinction you're drawing there, isn't it? That the land that Putin hasn't currently taken by force, you wouldn't give up. But would you be willing to concede that the land he has taken by force, which includes Crimea and certain parts of the Donbass, might be allowed to stay in place at least in the short or medium term?
Well, in the short or medium term, indeed, that is a de facto situation. Russians have been controlling portions of Donetsk, Luhansk region in Crimea since 2014. We do not recognize that legally, and I don't think we ever would. And furthermore, I don't think any other country in the civilized world would do so. However, we can recognize the current line of conflict as a line where as a de facto situation, but not legally. That would be impossible. And again, I don't think that would be good for the international world order altogether.
So that's the question, isn't it? Is there a form of peace which recognises the reality that Russia has that land at the moment, doesn't make you concede it to them formally, but gives at least a basis for pausing where you are now?
Well, that's a big question, and it really depends upon well, two issues. On the one side, there is the willingness on the Russian side to suspend the fighting. That's yet unclear. Might I remind you that while negotiations are taking place, Ukraine is under constant attack. We had one air raid attack this night here in Kiev. We had attacks in other parts of the country. Last night. 10 people have been killed, including a 2-year-old baby. So the Russian offensive is ongoing over here on the ground while negotiations are taking place. So simply trusting Putin is not going to do the job. What we're going to need is something, some solution from the strong allies that we have to recognize the situation as it is right now. And then in the longer term, as I said, things change, leadership change, and we hope that one point we would be able to regain control over our legal territory.
Does there have to be a ceasefire to start things off? Because Trump doesn't want to talk about a ceasefire. Merz, the German chancellor, wants to talk about a ceasefire. These negotiations, we've just heard how complicated they are and how much it'll involve concession and compromise and give and take and trust and guarantees. All of that suggests this will take months to actually settle upon. Does there need to be a ceasefire first of all?
Well, a ceasefire would be, of course, very much welcome by Ukrainians. Look, we are living under this constant threat to our lives for many years now. So ceasefire is, of course, something that would be great, but it doesn't seem that Putin is willing to offer that, and it doesn't seem that the West is willing to pressure him on that. No. Of course, we had hopes that maybe President Trump would be willing to announce some tougher sanctions against Putin if he doesn't introduce the ceasefire, but that option is not being presented to us at the moment, unfortunately. So unfortunately, the killings do continue while negotiations, one way or another, do take place.
Is there a danger that Putin's going to have won in all of this? He attacked your country. He's going to be rewarded potentially de facto, if not de jure, with 20% of Ukraine. Does that stick in your throat that Putin, after all of this, might have won?
Well, I'll tell you this, seeing Putin on the red carpet in the United States was felt like an offensive to everything that we have been through, to everything that we have gone through. So that is not a pleasant situation. Again, we hope it's a temporary situation, and we hope that for the sake of Ukraine and for the sake of the global world order, the situation will change in some future. Yeah. But we definitely need to use any opportunity to stop the fighting as of right now. Look, do I wish for the situation to be different? Yes. Is there a theoretical possibility? Yes. After all, Hitler was stopped on the European continent by the supply of the American weapons. Is that an option? Theoretically, yes, that is an option, and we could have regained control of all our territory with the help of the weapons of our allies. But unfortunately, the political situation is not like it was in World War II. The situation is much more different. There doesn't seem to be willingness to provide us with the weapons that might be used to regain control over all our territory. So I think we'll have to wait for that a bit longer.
Yeah, you've got to live in the real world, not an ideal world. Ina, good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That's Ina Sovsun there, an MP from Ukraine.